I was thinking about that earlier.
Good. Okay, I make a motion that come out of executive session.
I'll second it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We're done, we're not doing anything.
We're done.
Okay, we're done. All right. Obviously, see, our chair is not here tonight. I'll be chairing the meeting for Rusty. We have kind of a different agenda tonight. So we're going to have items 1 through 3, and then we're going to be returning to executive session, just so everybody knows that the executive session could be lengthy, but so depends on how long you want to wait. So first off is item 1 is special offers and presentations. It's a cemetery committee. And whoever is going to tonight, anybody that is going to speak, could you please come up to the podium to speak so everybody can hear, because we're on Zoom and YouTube. So what we have is questions on the tree removal in the cemetery. So who would like to speak first?
Katrina was supposed to do.
Yeah, where's Katrina?
Where did she go?
Where'd you go?
She came and grabbed her notes from me.
Okay, so I guess I'll just.
Can you at least start?
I guess what are the questions? Probably what the situation is with the 4 cemeteries
Yeah.
that have been started.
Yep.
I was kind of hoping that Larry would be here. to
Larry is not
answer-
here.
No,
Okay.
okay, so, at this point, we feel like those 4 cemeteries need to be readdressed and completed before anything else can happen. Correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and I believe we need a crane operator to go forward, and we don't have anybody in line yet,
Okay.
because he had a person and he doesn't have that person. I don't have the 2 people here that I really need to ask these
Mhm.
questions to. As I have questions, are they gonna be able to meet the deadline? Are they gonna be able to stay in budget? And so I probably have a lot of the same questions you guys do,
Okay.
to be quite honest.
I'm sorry, could you state your name?
Sheila McNeil.
Sheila.
Yeah.
Okay, Sheila. Thank you. I just as an overview that why it came to our attention is Brad was contacted and looked at some of the cemeteries. There was 3 or 4, and he took me out on Saturday to look at them, and you're spot on. There's a lot of trees that have been dropped, and there's damage to the cemeteries themselves. Granite posts and the rods that go in between the posts, and there are some very, very large trees out there. So your kind of time out and clean up is where I was going to go in discussion. But if you don't have Larry here,
Right.
and he does he own a crane?
And he cuts the trees and cuts the limbs off and chunks them up, and then the crane guy comes and takes
Okay.
the wood out.
Okay.
The problem was Larry can't subcontract the crane guy anymore. We've been doing this for 3 or 4 years, and we've had no problem at all doing 2 or 3 cemeteries a year. And now that we're jumping right into it big time, somebody came up with the idea that he can't hire the crane guy. The crane guy has to work separately with the town. So Larry got out there and started cutting and let the trees, it's a long process. It's not like mowing a lawn where you just go in there, cut a bunch of trees and leave. You have to cut the trees, limb them up, cut them up, and then have the crane guy come and remove the big stuff that he talked about. And then Larry goes back and chips up all the brush. So the thing will look great when we're done, but it's just a long, continuous process. And somebody shut him down because he can't subcontract his crane operator. And that's what we're trying to find, is another crane operator to pull those big trees out of there.
How everything came about.
Yeah. Thanks, Sheila.
So last year, the cemetery committee came before the voters and asked for $60,000 to finish cutting some trees that were falling onto the headstones. If Larry was hiring, subcontracting a crane operator before, it was not to our knowledge. We've talked a lot about insurance this year when we put in a good plan. So it came to our attention, Lindsay's and mine, because somebody called the town hall and said, you know, there is somebody asking for us to go out and look at these jobs. We wanted to make sure it wasn't a hoax. And we're like, oh, what are you talking about? So then we contacted Steve and Larry, are you subcontracting this? Because Larry had signed a hold harmless agreement saying that he would not subcontract it. We've gone round and round and did find out that Larry was subcontracting it. We've talked a lot with you guys. Lindsay and I've talked a lot, and we said, okay, so the crane operator has to come out to move the big pieces. Where are the big pieces going? You know, are they just going to be in the cemetery? Are they going to be at the end of the road? Who's picking up the brush after the fact? And we had a check to pay 10 grand last time you guys met. We have another check for like 9,800 on your warrant for this evening. But there were a lot of questions that we couldn't get answered. And then we said, okay, is the job done before we pay this check? Because it says, I believe it says in the contract it needs to be done. I don't remember. So we asked Steve, and he said, oh yeah, he came right back to us. And I said, okay, Brad, would you go take a look and just, you know, confirm that it is done? And he wasn't finding that it was. So that's kind of where we're left, is with all of these questions. Who's going to clean up the brush? Is there going to be enough money? Where is everything going? I understand the brush is going at the end of the road. People pick it up, but where's the big pieces going? We need the insurance for the crane operator. Like I said, if he was doing that before, we were did not understand that. So that's kind of where we are as a synopsis.
And so just to clarify, I understand Larry signed the contract that said he would not subcontract.
Yes.
But if he were, the board could theoretically waive and say, it's okay if you subcontract, but your subcontractor needs to have the insurance levels.
I would say yes.
Okay.
Yes. Larry does not have workers' comp. So if he's subcontracting that, you're going to want to be very careful in that
Right.
area.
I just want to say, that I guess I just want to be clear that there's some options to work with there
Yeah.
if the person being subcontracted to has the levels of insurance that they need to have.
That you
For
guys
that
require,
work.
correct?
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Better explanation than mine.
Oh, we dealt with it a lot.
Yeah.
How do we get moving again?
Does,
As far as the wood goes, some of the landowners want the big pines to make lumber out of, some of them want the firewood. But all that's gonna be taken out of the cemetery, put outside.
Yeah.
The brush is gonna be chipped up as much as possible, and when all that's done, the cemetery committee is gonna take care of the brush, like, as we have
Mm-hmm.
all along, you know, we're the last stop. But all that can't be done in one day.
no,
You just can't go into like this
Right.
community cemetery up there on or the Howard Road one. You can't just go in there in one day and do all that work. It takes time.
No.
It's a lot.
And
And I thought we had till the end of June. That was our plan, get it all done till at the end of June, when the money is supposed to be run out.
Right.
And Larry assured me he could do that, so that's why we went that route.
That's the time. That's still, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeanette, that's still the timeline, right?
right.
June
Can
30.
you extend that? Now we don't have a crane guy, we don't have Larry, we don't have anybody doing anything.
Hold on.
Did Larry understand how he could get how he could subcontract his crane guy? The
I
mechanics
believe
of
he
that?
was told he can't subcontract, period. We
Well-
have to get another crane operator. I've been waiting to send these paperwork. in.
Can we,
If that's possible, that'd be great.
can we write out step A, B, C, and D for them so that would give them a path?
I thought that's what we did.
Well, you guys have a policy that went into effect in October. I don't have it in your packet, but it's the hold harmless
Right.
policy. So
Mhm.
it does say the board can waive any or all
Right.
parts of that policy. So
So that's what I just asked,
Yeah.
right? We can waive the subcontract part and say it's okay to subcontract to the crane operator. The crane operator does have to provide the same levels of insurance.
So I can send a copy of the policy to like the cemetery committee, so they can review it. I mean, I'm sure they weren't aware of it,
Right.
and it sounds
Right,
like that probably was the case.
So,
Instead of just, I know when I read things like that, I need explanations and more detail. And I realize it's more work. But if when we send that, if we could say, all right, explain what the hold harmless is and say, if you wish to contract with this gentleman, we'll waive the hold harmless part if he has his own insurance for whatever the liability the town's requiring, whatever amount or whatever specs you're saying he has to have. And then I'm assuming that that gentleman that subcontracted also will probably need the hold harmless for workman's comp also. So you've got, I mean, there's a way through it. But if you're not familiar with dealing with that,
John, you might be conflating hold harmless with workman's comp. I believe
Okay.
that's two different things. A hold
Okay.
harmless agreement, everybody should be
yeah, we're
signing.
not gonna waive
It's
Okay,
that.
it's
what
the
I'm saying-
workman's comp
what I-
portion
yeah,
that it seems that they don't have, which they can get from the state.
Yes,
And I
that's what I
understand
meant
it's a
to say.
process.
yes,
It's just like what we went through with Parks and Rec and the
Right.
moderator. You know, you guys have to assess the level of risk we're taking on, and you know, do we want that to fall on the town's policy, or do you want them to cover the insurance piece? It's just the board has to review the risk, but you know, one party has to go to the other and make that request. You know, that they want the waiver. Otherwise, we weren't aware that Larry was subcontracting. You know,
Right.
and that's why we're here now.
Yes.
but we're
So-
basically looking for a path forward, right?
And I think Jeanette just laid out the path forward
Yeah.
and Lindsay.
Yeah,
And, you know, they've been working at this for weeks on this and we did put a stop work order on this until we get the paperwork in line because we have to protect the town. So all that needs to be, if we can waive the subcontracting part of it, then you need to find not just a crane operator, you need to find somebody with a crane that can do this type of work. And what I'd like to see with the pictures that I have of the cemeteries that I looked at, Howard Road being one, Walker Road being another. The Walker Road was the one with the one in the field, the hay field, right? That is and I'm glad to hear that some of the people may want lumber and whatever. What are the plans? I'd like to see something, and it can be as easy as what you guys provided here for each one on how are those going to be brought back to a good state.
Well, we have a pipe guy, he fixes the bent pipes.
Yep.
Dan McNeil, but you know, all the trees and the brush and stuff has to be out of there.
And I understand.
We're going in and fixing it up.
Yeah, and I understand when you were saying, it doesn't happen in a day, and I understand that. I don't think this is not why we're talking about. That's not what we have here to talk about, because you're not getting it done on a timely manner. And because if that was the case, we've stopped you. So, you know what I mean? It's just, we've got to make sure that the paperwork's in place, and that when you guys are done, these are large trees, more than I've seen some. Yeah.
Everything will be gone.
But I think a plan for each one of those cemeteries and get the ones that have been knocked down so far, get those in line, like you mentioned, and have an operator, a crane company. Oh, here she comes. In place, and get all the paperwork here, and then we can go back to work.
And
Yeah.
just to be
Sounds good to
clear,
me.
when you're saying waive the subcontracting, that's for Larry. So then he could go back to hiring the crane operator like he was doing. Does that make sense?
As long as the crane
Correct.
operator's insured.
Yes.
Yes, and we have to get all that.
And they need to
insurance
produce insurance.
Now, the other part of it is, does he have to have, the crane operator have to have workman's comp?
You know,
Or-
No, he can have a certificate also,
Right.
John.
Right,
Right, that's
Correct.
what I thought. That's,
declaration of independent status or something like that.
right.
Says he has all that.
Okay.
Well, if he's got
So
all
can
that,
we-
we're good.
So can we just talk timeline real quick? Because I had asked Jeanette about June 30th, so I just want to make sure, because that was
Come on,
my
yeah,
understanding
Jeanette.
as well, was June 30th.
So I agree with you. And that's what we had said is that you guys would, the only people who can waive the subcontracting would be the board.
Mhm.
So that would be a decision on you. Where in a perfect world, everything would close up on June 30th. We'd be done, books would be closed, but we're not in a perfect world. There are things that we can't get done for one reason or another. It's been raining cats and dogs, etc. As long as it's encumbered before June 30th
Which it
and the
is.
work is underway,
Mhm.
then it can go a little further
Okay.
into the year.
All right.
So we should aim for June.
Thank you.
Katrina, come on up, please.
Sorry, look, she's back.
It's always the
That was
way.
like the minute I left. I
It's
knew it.
always the
Okay.
way.
Yep.
Excuse me, I'm Katrina Randall. I live on Williams Road in Lyman. My question was, the reality is, it's not gonna be a little while after June 30th. I don't think. Takes a while. There's a lot of big trees out there in 6 cemeteries. So what I would like to know is, Jeanette, is there a process that can be written up and we go to the town for a town meeting to say, we're trying to be very careful. We'd like to get done what we've done. We have not overspent the money and we'd like to clean up what we've got and may we use it again. Great.
Back.
Thank you.
Like a bad penny. So what we can do, if it's going to take longer than that, you can put a warrant article on the town meeting warrant asking to extend and roll over those funds.
If
Okay.
somebody tells me if we should write that, if somebody can just guide me, we'll get one written.
No, we'll write it.
Oh,
Okay, I have another question. What about when people don't take the wood that's beside, an example is down on Goodwin's Mills Lane, the Frost Cemetery.
I
That
think
one,
we need to let all the townspeople know it's available.
I said that over the weekend. How do we let people know? It's great
Well-
firewood out there.
So we
I
put it
know,
on our
so
website that
We could put it on the town website. I know we send email blasts out from time to time.
Mhm.
If at some point there's any other venues, even at the town meeting, please.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
I agree, we don't want to sit there and rot.
Yeah.
We don't need it.
Yeah.
We do have occasional people that tell us they would like it. And
Okay.
we know those folks.
Because when I saw the Frost one, that one's been sitting there for quite some time.
Frost is, yeah.
Nobody wants the pine.
Let's,
No, so then, we need to know, what do we do with it? Can we bring it to the dump? Do we get it out of the cemetery and let it rot somewhere? I mean, pine is nothing that anybody typically wants.
does Jason
Right down
take
to
that?
the-
It can be taken to Balio's pit on 111.
That's
He
good.
takes stumps and brush.
Do you know
Which
what
is
the
new.
fee is for it? Is it,
Stumps are $12 a yard. I don't think there's any charge for brush.
I'm not doing brush. I mean, right, but the big stuff, sure.
But since you started this, Jason's is new since
Correct.
their work has been underway for a while. So maybe speaking with Jason, you can work something out with him.
I'll send you his number.
Can he grind that big pine for mulch?
Does the town still have that site on the Davis Road? We were dumping brush there years ago. Now there's a gate across it,
No.
down towards the end of the Davis Road.
I see
It's
no.
just a big sand pit.
Yep.
Do we know, is that available or no?
No.
No?
No.
Yes, it's dumped down.
I think Jason would be the best.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
He's right next to Dryden
So-
Auto Body.
So just to wrap this
Yep.
up, can I make a motion that we waive the subcontracting clause for Larry's contract
Could you just do
and
that?
still require the insurance for whoever he subcontracts to?
Sure we can.
I'll second that.
Sorry, I asked if
Did
I
you hear
could.
that, Dave?
Yes,
Any discussion? All in
No.
favor? All in favor?
aye.
There you go.
Hey?
Whoop.
Before we run away,
Oh, boy.
are you expecting a list from the cemetery committee on this is what we're going to do for
Yes.
each one?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes. I'll get
I
that
just
to you
want to
guys.
clarify that.
And could you
Great,
please
thank you.
funnel that all through Lindsay?
You
Please.
will just send it to her and she can disperse.
Get it everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll write it up in a minute.
Tell us what we need to do.
Sweet.
Okay.
I think we should
Thanks.
do it.
I think.
Be in touch. I'll send it to you. What, his whole harm list? Yep. And the policy. I sent it.
I think I should, yeah.
I sent the policy. And a copy of
Yeah.
Okay,
You guys good?
we're moving along.
Okay.
Minutes, review and approve minutes from 4/3/2023.
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Payroll. I need glasses for this one. Payroll warrant, sign the warrant for payroll number 45, $24,941.64.
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Accounts payable warrant number 44, FY 2023, in the amount of $84,033.26.
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion?
Yes. So on that is Breakwood Tree and Excavation at $9,800. They, as of right now, from what our last discussion was, we don't have the proper insurance at town hall from them. So my question to the board is, do you want to release the funds? And after the pictures that I saw of the work that was done, are you satisfied with the amount of work done versus the amount being paid?
So to answer your first question, Dave, Breakwood, we do have all of the insurance paperwork on file for that.
Perfect.
So, hold on, please.
So close.
So the money that this is being billed, the invoices this is being billed on is for the cutting of the trees, downing the trees? Do they have it listed?
It changes. I mean, in the last one, we had some that were cut and removed brush. So it's hard to tell.
Yeah, so I had a discussion with Larry about his invoices, and he explained to me he was just felling the trees. He might consolidate some brush, like move it to the side, stuff that he can access, but this is just for cutting the trees down.
These specific invoices.
Yeah, and there's several, so it's
Yeah.
lumped together, it's 9,000 some odd dollars, but it's less,
Multiple
you know,
invoices.
multiple ones.
And you released 9,000 something at your last meeting as well.
And the trees
So that's
are
20 out of
physically,
the 60.
and the trees are physically down.
Yes.
They're
They
physically
need a
down.
crane operator to move them.
Right.
May I go now?
I think maybe moving forward for the resident, that they get a little bit more specific on their invoices. So
Okay.
it's clear for you and for us, now that they're putting a plan together, that we know that at the end of it, they go, well, we missed that one.
Okay. Sounds good to me. I'll make it happen.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Janet.
Okay, so we've had a motion, a second, a discussion. Are we going to? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Wonderful.
Oh boy, my turn, huh? Okay. I make a motion that we go into executive session per MRSA 405, Section A, Personnel Matters.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
Yeah, you guys can go, but you can
Yeah.
come back. I mean, you're gonna be, yeah.
Yeah, we'll